Welcome to Just Great Movies. Is this a journey's end? Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country. Many say this is the best Trek of them all. The swan song of the original series cast and crew. Welcome to Trek December on Just Great Movies. I'm your host, Trev Retro. With me tonight, the oldest gamer, Istophobos and Z3PO. This movie, Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country, released December 1991 with a runtime of 110 minutes, directed by Nicholas Meyer, who did a fantastic job on The Wrath of Khan. He came back for this one. The screenplay was written by Nicholas Meyer, also Denny Martin Flynn. The story was by Leonard Nimoy, Lawrence Connor and Mark Rosenthal. Had a budget of $30 million and it made $96.8 million back at the box office. Story goes a bit like this. In 2293, the Federation starship Excelsior, traveling between Beta and Alpha Quadrant, captained by Hikaru Sulu, oh my, discovers the Klingon moon of Praxis has been destroyed in a mining accident. Now, the loss of Praxis and the ecological devastation of the Klingon homeworld throws the Klingon Empire into turmoil. They're no longer able to afford war with the Federation, and the Klingons finally pursue peace. Starfleet sends the Enterprise to meet with the Klingon Chancellor Gorkon and escort him to peace negotiations on Earth. Captain James T. Kirk, whose son David, who we all know was murdered by Krug in Star Trek III, opposes any peace and resents the assignment that Spock signed him up for. This is such a great film. I went to see this not once, I went 3 times. 2 showings on the first night. Gamer, what's your first memory of Star Trek VI?
I was going to graduate school, and during the winter of 1991, went opening weekend to a packed theater. Really wanted to see this film. Kind of had the inkling, based on what was coming ahead of, with the trades, that this was going to be the last film for all of them, which kind of left me sad, but I absolutely wanted to see this film. I didn't see it 3 times. I saw it twice.
Ah, well, does that make me sad or just dedicated?
Very dedicated.
Esther, when did you first get to see this flick?
I saw this movie in a ginormous movie theater in Tokyo because I was living in Japan when it came out. And I have to say, my first impression was not so good.
Really?
You know what a greeble is, right? You call them greeblies?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a piece of a model that they cut off and they put on something else to make it more. I think this was a 20th century story that they moved over to the 23rd century, but they didn't really sand down the edges of the greeblies on it. So those little parts sort of chafed on me at first. And we'll get on them as we go through the movie. But over time, as I learned to sort of live with, galleys and it's just a moon. And as I learned to get past that, the substance of the movie, shines through the performances, and I've come to appreciate it much more than I initially did. It's often the case when you take a contemporary story and you try to move it into the future, you need a good sci-fi writer there to smooth over those edges, and I think there's still some rough ones on this. That being said, yeah. I mean, a lot of it is just technical math, space, time, and distance sort of stuff in sci-fi. It's not the heart of the story, but it's the kind of thing that would chafe my OCD brain at the theater. But like I said, I've gotten over that and have really come to appreciate the core of this movie, which is really awesome. So
it is. It's really good. Z, when did you first get to see this flick?
Oh, I saw it on opening weekend. I was well into my Star Trek addiction at this point, and I was absolutely blown away. What a great movie. Not just a great Star Trek movie, but a great movie in general. I mean, it's like a political thriller in space. And I've been hooked ever since. I was one of the first people to get a a copy of the movie on VHS as well from a mate of a mate of a mate of a mate who got the director's cut.
Oh.
And placed it on VHS for me. And I must have seen this film about 50 times. I absolutely love it. Never get bored of it. It's got problems, which we'll go into later. But overall, fantastic.
It is indeed. It's a quick time to catch up with the chat. Well done to RRTNZ, who was first in the chat. Franco as well. Smilex commenting. Who's in there tonight? Let's see. Argentum. Who else? Gavin Blackburn. Hello, you. Franco. Paul Dickinson. Hello. Good to see you in the chat tonight. Smilex, who's watching us live instead of re-rubbing. It's better live than re-rubbed, isn't it, Smy? Who else is in there? I know for a fact that Atom Great is in there. Hello, you. And anybody else who joins us, I'm sure everybody will be piling in as we get into it tonight. And looking forward to this one. Big thank you to Melvin Deeply, who's given us 2.5 pot knackers. Undiscovered Country is the best Star Trek film. Fight me. Okay, I'll see you in the park after school. So let's get down to it and do some slides. I love this film. This is just, it's peak Trek for me. Does anybody disagree with that statement at this point?
No, not at all. And Cliff Idleman's dark brooding score as it opens up really sets the Cold War tone for the movie.
It does.
Really it's booming and bass, and everything from the outset just sounds dangerous.
It certainly opens up with a bang.
Yeah, definitely. And we got a science fiction special effect that eventually made its way into the reimagining of Star Wars: A New Hope. When practice explodes, this here. Now, if you turn that 90 degrees, you get the Death Star blowing up.
Yep.
Did anybody notice that? And it's actually called at ILM the Praxis effect, and I love that. And for those who don't know, this is the Klingon moon of Praxis, and it explodes due to overmining of dilithium. And it's funny, where's Kronos? And why is Excelsior so close to Klingon space?
And why are they puttering around at 1/4 impulse? It would take them 500 years to get back up.
Maybe it's a slow boat back home. Oh, my. There we go. There's the NCC 2000, the Excelsior. Why would you want that bucket of bolts?
Hello, computer.
And Scotty doesn't like the Excelsior for some reason. If my grandmother was a wagon, she'd have wheels. I love them. These Trek films have got some great lines in them. But I love the Excelsior. That was the longest serving Federation ship, the Excelsior class. And for good reasons, too. Massive ship compared to the Enterprise.
And they did a really good job of explaining the energy shockwave, because normally you don't have shockwaves in space. There's no medium through which they propagate, but they did say it was a subspace wave, which now it makes sense for the Excelsior to turn into the wave. Normally that's a hydro or aerodynamic decision, but you would say their shields actually are made to ride it out facing the subspace wave. So that works.
Interesting bit here. The guy walking away from Sulu is Dimitri Baltain. Now, when he's at the side of Sulu, there's a shot of him actually at the science station. And then he's back next to Sulu. And then he goes to the science station. That is only one of like 3 bloopers or, continuity errors in the entire film, which I don't think's too bad. It's nice to see Sulu finally get his own command and have a lot of able-bodied seamen underneath him, Z.
You
you agree with that?
Careful when you face your back toward Sulu, though.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. In the Navy. So anyway, starboard thruster, turn her into the wave.
Turn her into the wave.
The helmsman, he's not very experienced. He's still a bit wet behind the ears, I think.
Yes, but they've got one of Starfleet's best helmsmen as their captain. He knows exactly what to do.
I don't
They've
doubt
been
that.
out for 3 years. How wet can he be behind his ears?
I don't know. He doesn't know how to use the starboard thruster.
Yeah, they've been
turn into
they're
a
wrapping
wave.
up a 3-year continuous mission.
You'd think he'd know how to do his own job.
No,
But,
other right. Left, no, right,
yeah.
other right.
The model to this, made by ILM, the whole bridge top section lifts up. And when it does, inside there is a giant, like, neon ringed light bulb. And it is impressively bright. So when you see all those lights there, there's a huge, and I mean an absolutely phenomenally big bulb in there. And it's not an LED one, you know what I mean? It's like, how can I put it? You know, the fluorescent types. It looks like one of those.
Like an old incandescent bulb?
Like
it's
big,
probably
massive ring.
fluorescent. Yeah, incandescent would melt the model. But I do hear Sulu likes a bright ring.
Well, so we're here. But the special effects here are par excellence. ILM doing an absolutely stunning job. I mean, I love the bit when he does use the starboard thruster and he turns her into the wave. When it's flying through all this subspace energy, and it's just whoa! It's just so intense. I love that opening scene. It just whoa! Right from the get go, right? It's like boom, 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 boom. And I don't mean Mr. Sulu. Oh my! Oh, look at that, Mr. Sulu on the floor, face down, with a group of men. I'm sure it's not the first or last time that's going to happen. Oh, look at that. Yeoman Rand, who's now Commander Rand. Look at her. You could just see her holding on to the deck handrail thing. Can you see her there?
I can see her.
Grace Lee Whitney. This was her next appearance after appearing in Star Trek 3. You know, when the Enterprise comes into space dock and she's all battle damaged.
No, she's in Star Trek 4. She's trying to reestablish communications.
Right, I thought that was Majel Barrett in that scene.
Oh, it might have been.
It was Majel Barrett. She wasn't in 4.
You're talking a week ago, Trev.
I know. Jane Weedlin was in 4. Praxis? What's left of Praxis? Oh my.
It's still on fire, man.
I've been to Uranus and it wasn't this hot. Oh my.
How would you compare this opening to Star Trek the movie as far as setting the tone?
I think this does a way better job. This, to me, is on par, if not slightly better, than The Wrath of Khan.
Ooh.
And I don't know whether that's down to Nicholas Meyer, because the way he directed 2, and obviously he's had far more directing experience compared from 1981, when he directed Star Trek 2, to 1990, when he directed this. He'd got all that extra experience. So it clearly shows his level of cinematography, and the way he sets shots up is just fantastic.
Yeah, I prefer the opening to this movie because it's bang straight in.
Yeah.
Space disaster, people are effed.
Yeah, and
well,
look
and it's
at
an
the
amazing opening too. Like say with the explosion and them turning into the wave. It's just when you're in the cinema, it's like wow, you know.
Yeah, and look at the graphics all around the ship. It's starting to look like legit futuristic. It no longer looks like the Tron arcade video game. It's, you know, they really brought the production design up a notch in terms of everything on the ship.
I definitely agree. This, you know, everyone is leaps and bounds on the previous one, apart from 5. But and then again, ILM didn't do anything there, did they? But even the quality of cinematography, the quality of the stock of film, everything, it's almost like it was done on the cheap, so there was more money for people who were starring in the film, especially the main star and the director of 5. No names mentioned. There we saw Lieutenant Commander Rand, Grace Lee Whitney, who went on to reprise this role in the Voyager crossover. Do you remember that one?
Which episode is that?
Where Tuvok has a mind virus.
That's prophetic. Huh?
Now, calm down. Ista, don't go there. It's a family show. We don't use rum words on this channel anymore, which is a shame.
Well,
Yeah, I can't remember the name of the episode, but Sulu's in it, Dimitri's in it, and Janeway gets Tuvok to nerve pinch Lieutenant Commander Rand, and Janeway steals her uniform. I can't remember the episode. If anybody knows that episode, please do tell me.
I know which one
in
you're
the
talking
chat.
about, but I can't think of the name of it. Yeah.
she's a lieutenant commander here.
Yeah.
That's yeomans are usually non-commissioned. She must have gone to the academy in the interim because she was on a different career track.
What happens in San Francisco stays in San Francisco. So anyway, they put a call out to Praxis, and there's this awful scene of this guy just basically being roasted, and the Klingons hack into that signal, and this is Brigadier General Kurlar, and he tells them to mind their own business in a polite sort of way, very diplomatic. And I love the line from Rand. Do we tell anybody about this? And then Susan's like, "Are you kidding? Oh my! What happens in San Francisco stays in San Francisco." Meanwhile, at Federation HQ, you know that voice sounds awfully familiar when I do that. Like previously on B-sides. Hello, Atom.
This looks amazing right here.
That is a great matte painting. That is quality. That is ILM through and through. Just look at the detail. So anyway, Starfleet headquarters, a secret meeting of all the top brass. There's the CIC, Seat Commander-in-Chief of Starfleet, who's Bill. I don't know his last name. I should do, but I don't. There's Admiral Cartwright on the right-hand side, and obviously Mr. Spock, who's heading up this conference. And all the original Enterprise crew are there. And they're due to stand down and retire in 3 months' time. But no, there's a chance for peace. And Spock signed everybody up to meet the Klingons. There's always that one guy at work, isn't there? I don't care who it is. There is always one guy. And Kirk's not too happy about this because he's like, you shouldn't have involved us, And
you're
Spock's
spending the weekend feeding the homeless. I just wanted to let you know. But I had plans.
Yeah. And he says that the Klingons are dying, and Kirk's like, let them die.
Great
Because
line.
he hasn't got over the incident on the Genesis planet where Krug killed David Marcus, Kirk's son. So anyway, off to Space Dock. This was a great scene. The level of detail, we see Space Dock in a different shot from a different perspective this time. And I thought that was really cool.
From down under, we see it. I wonder.
Yeah, but to see this on the silver screen was just breathtaking back in the day.
Yeah, this looks these shots look incredible. Like, especially on like big 70 millimeter screens at the time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, the whole thing about this movie is like technology finally caught up to Star Trek.
A little bit,
yeah. Exactly.
And here we have Kim Cattrall as Lieutenant Valaris. Nice sideburns. You know how every child experiences the pudding bowl haircut? I think she got half of it there. And for those of you that don't know, watch out, she's a Scouser. Did you know she's a Scouser, Z?
No.
Yeah.
I don't even know what a Scouser is.
She was born in Liverpool.
Really?
Kim Cattrall.
She's a Brit?
Yeah. By birth.
I always thought she was born on the streets because I saw Sex in the City. So.
Oh, gosh. No. So anyway, all the bridge crew are there, and we get a great shot. Recycled from Star Trek 4, no doubt. You got to love Harve Bennett and his cost-cutting measures. When he got the job for Star Trek 2, they said, can you make a Star Trek film for this much? And he said, hell, for that money, I'll make you 2. And that's how we got Star Trek 2 and Star Trek 3, because he made 2 films. On let's see, it was less than 60% of the original motion picture budget, because that just overran. That was eating money. left, right, and
This,
center.
this is Star Trek VI, The Return of Aztecing.
Yes. And you've got to admit, the level of special effects from ILM, this was like no holds barred. The level of detail and the level of quality all the way through this was just absolutely dynamite. I love this to bits. You're not supposed to leave space dock at 1/4 impulse power. And they end up doing it anyway, straight out the doors. And then we get this great scene of Scotty in engineering, and he's just like loving the look of that engine. And for those of you who don't know, the engineering section is redressed Star Trek Next Generation sets.
They did a lot of that in this film.
Yeah.
Repurposed.
Oh,
it.
yes.
Why did he feel the need to blast impulse while they're at space dock? I never quite,
Because no one else
Seems-
has ever done it, and he's retiring in 3 months, so he's like,
Yeah, he
screw
doesn't
it.
care. What are they going to do? Demote him again?
Yeah.
Oh no!
Well, they might throw him in a Klingon prison. You never know.
Are they going to take away his space pension? Who knows? Ah, dear. Well, let's see. In less than 6 months, he ends up in a Nexus. So, poor
I
old
like
David
things
Marcus.
to make sense in my science fiction, though, and that was just one of the things that seemed unnecessarily. It's not like he was in a rush to go meet him, so I don't know. It rubbed me the wrong way. Like
Interestingly enough,
going on a
and
date with Smilex.
crikey, Smilex might be going on a date of his own, from what I hear. I hear there's rumblings. You never know. Anyway, it's a tragic story of David Marcus, a brilliant and gifted scientist who unfortunately didn't take after his dad for the fighting and street smarts. As we found out on the Genesis planet, he was unsurreptitiously murdered by one of Krug's men. And ever since then, Kirk, while not a fan of the Klingons, is harboring slightly a bit of a grudge. And as he's putting all his stuff away, he's stowing his gear, Valeris is just outside when he mentions about I never trusted Klingons and I never will, never have. Which,
that may be more historic, too. Going back to the original series, the Klingons were always untrustworthy in his mind. So his son being murdered by them just put him over the top. So they focus on the fact that his son was murdered, but his distrust of the Klingon Empire goes back to the beginning.
Oh yeah,
but he's also made peace with them. Think about Day of the Dove. He wasn't so how would you he wasn't as much of a racist in his youth or a speciesist.
Oh, right, but he would be the wrong person for this mission. Hence his objection to Spock. It's like, look, I've done my duty. This is somebody else's role, really.
He does a great line, doesn't he?
Yeah.
We've done our bit for king and country.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's another point. You would send half the fleet to meet these guys, and you would have an army of diplomats. It's the scale isn't right. But again, I got over it, man. The movie's good.
The thing is here, the only reason why Kirk is doing this solo is because the Klingons know not to mess. He's the most feared Federation Starfleet captain.
Only Nixon could go to China.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the Klingons aren't going to mess with him,
Also, all the other ships are surveying Nebula for 3 years, which explains why it's always just the Enterprise that's available when the shit hits the fan.
It's funny that it's like in Generations, the Enterprise B is the only Federation starship in the area. Hello? Don't you protect your own planet? The Federation HQ? Why isn't there some kind of fleet in the solar system ready to sort out any problems just in case?
Yeah, the nebula ain't going anywhere. You have plenty of time to survey them through a freaking telescope.
Well, it's funny because you can assemble them all for the Borg at Wolf 359, but when you have other incidences, like you say, I'm sorry, the only Enterprise B is here. What?
Yeah, but the thing is, that's 83 years in the future. They're a bit more organized by then. They've actually finally got a clue.
But what you fail to realize,
we need more than one ship in the Alpha Quadrant.
Space is big. You won't believe how vastly, hugely, mind-boggling big it is. I mean, you may think it's a long way down the road to the chemist, but that's just peanuts to space.
42.
Yes.
There's a great setup here for the future. Spock intends Valeris to succeed him in the grand scheme of things. And then we get this. This is a great shot. I love this. The detail on this Klingon cruiser is just, it's just wow. This blew me away on the big screen.
No reusing shots in this movie.
There's only a very minimal amount of bits that are reused. In fact, if anything, there are a few shots in this film that are reused for generations. You know, the Excelsior at warp when they're going to Kittimer later.
Mm-hmm.
That gets reused as the Enterprise B going to warp to rescue the 2 Elorian ships that are trapped in the Nexus. There you go. So anyway, shall we raise shields, Captain? I've never been this close. Oh my. And there we go. David Warner, who was in Star Trek V as St. John Talbot, returns as Chancellor Gorkon. While they filmed this, when he finished filming, he went on to be in The Next Gen. There are 4 lights! That episode. Remember that one, guys?
Chain of Command. What a fantastic
classic
two-parter.
episode.
One of the
Isn't
best.
it just?
Yep.
Yeah. And David Warner. He bummed a cigarette from my dad once. He was filming a period drama at a pit in the UK where my dad worked. And my dad was quite bemused as to what was going off. And David Warner said, "Can I nick a smoke off you?" Because he used his Manchester accent when he wasn't doing scenes to try and fit in with the local proletariat. So anyway,
David Warner is the GOAT, and one of my regrets is he didn't have enough screen time in this movie, but his performance is incredibly nuanced and subtle. That guy is just one of the best there ever is.
One of his most underrated performances was, "Stop, please. I'm afraid. You know I can't allow you to do this. I'm going to have to put you on the games grid." He was the voice of the MCP in Tron.
Yeah. Which
was great.
He had 2 distinct roles in that movie.
Yeah,
and
Sark.
You know, he's a Nicholas Meyer favorite, which is why, you know, you often see them together.
Nice. Well, this was a great shot too. The Enterprise escorting a Klingon vessel back to Federation HQ. And this is another rehash scene. This looks like a redressed version of the Enterprise D thingamabob room. You know, that meeting room they have?
Yeah. If it's escorting, why is it in the back? Shouldn't it be?
Well, it's thing is, you know, if you've got the Klingons behind you, you know, it might make things a little bit uncomfortable. Sulu might be happy with having some burly aliens behind him.
Yeah, bringing up the rear. It's called the Sulu maneuver.
So they have a bit of a social gathering. I thought Romulan ale was illegal, Captain. There we go. That's one of the benefits of being 1,000 light years away from home. They're all drinking Romulan ale. And it looks like, I don't know, some kind of gach. Does that look like gach to anybody on those plates?
I'm not sure they had official gach at this point.
But anyway, a few lines and wires are crossed. And there's a few interesting plot points where Chang says, "We need space, breathing room." And Kirk says, "Earth, Hitler, 1939. I beg your pardon." And then Spock's like, "What I believe the captain means." "Oh, no, there's no need to mince words. We're all cold warriors in space, Captain."
There's some subtle references to, 1930s Germany, and then the overt one by Kirk. Like say you mentioned the Cold War. There's a reference. What is it? The Klingon. There's a quote by Chancellor Gorkon, isn't there? That when it's in the original Klingon.
You haven't experienced Shakespeare until you've read him in the original Klingon, Captain.
That's actually a subtle reference to Germany.
Really?
Very subtle. Yes.
There is a very deep undercurrent of mistrust. You get that whole vibe of USA versus Russia, West versus East, capitalism versus communism. And, we were at the end of the Cold War when this came out. spy stuff and the threat of nuclear war was still in the back of our minds. And this film feeds off that paranoia. The what if, what happens next? How do we proceed with the future? It's all unknown. There's a level of fear for people who've basically become big anachronisms in their own lifetimes.
You've got the different interests. You have Chancellor Gorkin's interest in peace. You have Chang's interest in nothing of the sort. So he could be kind of your KGB plant in the film, versus, let's say, a perestroika type leader like Boris Yeltsin at the time.
I thought that was Gorby who was the perestroika guy.
Well, he was, but then after him came Yeltsin.
Yeah, but Gorby was the man who initiated, the way, the way things ended up. Down with the Berlin Wall and East Germany being given back.
Yeah.
And
Gorkin is truncated Gorbachev and Lincoln.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
That's interesting. This scene here, Kirk is trying to sleep off his bit of a hangover. Oh, that Romulan ale. So anyway, there's a massive neutron radiation surge. And, very near us, probably underneath us. And he's asking around and he says, Valeris, know anything about a radiation surge? Chekhov says, only the size of my head. Yes. Oh my, somebody said head. Then all of a sudden, there's a photon torpedo heading for the Chancellor's ship. And there we go, direct hit. They lose gravity, as you do. And then a couple of people being bored in engineering suits. And I like these. These are like brand spanking new engineering suits. Oh, pardon me. I was going to do sort of like a cosplay version of these suits. And you see those round things on the side of the helmets there. Do you know what they are? Can you remember back in the early days of headphones?
Yeah.
Like earbud type headphones. And you used to have those windy uppy cases where it would wind it all back in.
Yeah.
That's what they are. If you look closely at the side of that helmet, if you see any reference photos anywhere, you actually see the earbud things inside them. They go for daft money now. But I was gonna have a crack at making one of those for cosplay. And the new type of phaser in this film. Every film's had a kind of its own phaser. I thought the Star Trek 3 phaser was really good, but the Star Trek 6 ones, there's two different versions. There's like the standard one, what these guys have got to commit these assassinations, right? And then later on, there's like a more combat-y looking one. And it looks like it's got how can I put it? Like a different kind of grip.
It makes it a pain it makes it a real pain to collect them all too. I got to tell you, every movie, it's like, there's another $800. Damn.
Yeah. And these were sort of like rehash versions of the original engineering suits. If you notice there, they're not wearing that neoprene flare piece around the neck, the black piece, if you remember. So it makes them look completely different.
They look like they're out of Tron a little bit without the glowy bits.
Yeah. They look like Daft Punk in Tron Legacy. Yeah. Almost.
Yeah,
a little bit.
Yeah, they kind of do.
Did you know Nicholas Meyer had a real difficulty what he could use for Klingon blood? They tried loads and loads of different things. They spent thousands and thousands of dollars. They ended up using Pepto-Bismol.
Which is exactly what the stuff, it looks like shiny Pepto during the film. I think one of my friends even shouted that out when the guy got shot.
Well, somebody actually shouted out it's Pepto-Bismol.
Yeah, or no, it looks like Pepto, I think is what he said.
Just a quick catch up with the chat. I mentioned Atom Gray was in there. Not Brian's in there. Also Emperor J. Goodwin. Who else is in there? Manuel Grill. And, Smilex. He's still in there. And so's our Argentum as well. What's this? Amoxicillin tastes better. Oh no, it's that horrible banana tasting thing. And it's nice to have Smilex. Hey, I am bowled over. Smilex has never been on the channel. You know, he's always been a re-rub kind of guy. Oh, Flav's in there too. Manuel Grill. Eraserhead 666. I like
That
that.
could be taken two different ways there, Trev. He's a
Sorry.
re-rub kind of guy. I'm just saying.
Oh, well, there's nothing wrong with a re-rub. So anyway, it's definitely open season on Klingons. And I like this guy. Almost says like he wants to parlay. Because he says, parlez-vous gou quoi. And then gets his arm shot off. And it's his right arm as well, which is bad news for him because he's right-handed.
Oh,
There's no more Klingon re-rubbing.
It's a good job they did go for the purple blood, though. Otherwise, it would never have stuck with its PG rating.
No, it takes all that the gore element out of it because you can't take it seriously because everybody goes, look, it's Pepto-Bismol. And then Gorkon gets it too. Somebody on the Enterprise is faking information because Scotty says we're still fully loaded, and yet there's 2 records of 2 photon torpedoes being fired, and there were 2 shots on Gorkon's ship. And then we get this great line of dialogue from Chang. We come to you in peace, and you violently... I can't even say it now. And he basically says, I'll blow you out of the sky. I'm going to be doing some Christopher Plummer bits and bobs. But yeah, they're about to get torpedoed themselves. Kirk, for the first time ever, surrenders to the Klingons. He's never, ever, ever surrendered to the Klingons. Not once.
They must have loved that.
Oh, yeah. And then him and Bones beam aboard the Chancellor's ship. And Brigadier Kevlar comes up to him and he goes, are you out of your minds? And he's like, I swear to you, I don't know what's happened here. And he doesn't, because this is all a conspiracy. We're in Swapper's territory, don't you think, Zay?
Absolutely. I mean, you can see why they wanted just the Enterprise. They would never be able to set this up otherwise.
Kirk is the perfect patsy here.
He is really, because his hatred of Klingons is well known throughout the Empire and the Federation. It's not just the death of his boy. They've been a constant pain in his backside since the original series.
Definitely. Interesting fact from Smilex, and I was going to mention this. Shatner was Plummer's understudy when they were both starting out. Yes,
Really?
Both Shakespearean actors, yeah. That's
I
how
want to know.
That's how Shatner got into acting. He was Christopher Plummer's understudy in Canada.
When did Captain Von Trapp join the Klingon military, though? That's I can't figure out.
I don't know. Maybe they smuggled him out through Argentina.
From Sound of Music to Star Trek 6.
The Hills Are Alive. Oh, a different film. Anyway, Bones tries to resuscitate Chancellor Gorkon, but he doesn't know Klingon. How does he not know Klingon anatomy? He's been fighting these guys for 30-odd years.
I was just going to ask, is this one of the scenes that Istophobos had an issue with? Because it was one that, when I'm thinking in retrospect, I kind of had an issue with, because why would he beam over if he didn't know Klingon physiology? And for all the years that they've been engaged with them, are you telling me that not once did they capture a Klingon where they would have been able to at least identify
or a medical journal?
They have xenobiologist specialists even in Enterprise. Yeah, of course they would know. And I can only hear them say, damn it, Jim, I'm a doctor, not a Klingon doctor.
And it's famed in the Star Trek universe that Leonard McCoy wrote many xenobiology books on other species. So how the bloody hell does he not know Klingon anatomy or physiology?
Yeah, it's easily fixed with a rewrite, just as all the other problems are, which is why eventually I got over them. But yes, it bothered me fairly significantly on first viewing.
There's a few errors, and it's like they're not just little errors in Star Trek fandom or in the universe as a whole. There's some really big ones. So anyway, they managed to just briefly revive Kirk, and Gorkon says, don't let it end this way, Kirk. And he's dead. He's dead, Jim. Anybody else want to get that one in quick? Damn it, he's dead, Jim.
Dead, Jim.
Dutch vets or no, please.
Sorry, I just thought I'd press a button there. So moving on. And under Article 357 of your interstellar law, you're both under arrest. And he claps his hands. He's just... Christopher Plummer is just such a great presence on screen during this role as General Chang. In fact, he's did a bit of a side project along with this because there's like a Starfleet Academy, like a video-based video game. And Christopher Plummer, he does like the opposing bits for the Klingon Academy. There's some really great clips if you can find that online.
Excellent. Do you know his character originally had hair, but when he saw the prosthetic on, he said, "Can he keep it bald?"
And I think that's good. We've never seen a bald Klingon up to this point.
It's really menacing.
Yeah, you can see more of that Cornish pasty on his head.
Makes me hungry.
It almost looks like a Ginsters. I really like a Greg's sausage roll at this point, but that's just me. This is Gorkon's daughter, Azat Burr. She's basically now the Chancellor by default. Kirk and Bones promptly arrested. But there's a game afoot, as we'll find out. And I like this. Can you fly, Bobby? President, can you fly, Bobby? Anybody recognize Clarence Bodicker, Kurtwood Smith, as the Federation president?
Yes.
Yeah, from the 70s show.
Oh, look, and in that room is Leonard Nimoy's brother-in-law, John Shook, as the Klingon ambassador. And without looking at IMDb, the Romulan ambassador, Noncluse, and I'm sure that's the bad guy from Crocodile Dundee 2. He certainly sounds like him. You know, the Hispanic fellow?
Yes.
I think it might be him.
You think so?
Yeah. That's Mark Leonard, of course, on the right-hand side, as Spock's dad, Ambassador Sarek of Vulcan. But look, all I keep thinking is just, can you fly, Bobby? Oh, Kurtwood Smith, who's done several roles in Star Trek. He came back in Voyager around the same time as this, and he played a guy called Anorax. Now, if you're English and you're into a certain obscure topic, you're often called an anorak. And it always makes me laugh. I don't know if you saw that episode, Z, and it had the same effect on you.
It did, yeah. It made me titter. Anorax.
Anorax, yeah. And it was a two-parter, The Year of Hell, Part 1 and 2 in Voyager Season 4, if I remember right. And Chakotay and Tom Paris get taken aboard that temporal, what was it? Like a temporal deletion ship, wasn't it? He was studying time, trying to bring back his wife, who died on a colony because they accidentally erased somebody, and it had a butterfly effect on his old society. I thought that was a really, really great bit. Atom Gray says, nice lamp. It's not bad. It'd make a great salad bowl. So here's Azat Burr, and they try and rearrange the peace talks. But obviously, they don't want to come to Earth this time round. They're going to pick a neutral location. And this is a great bit. These Klingons here, they don't want peace either. They're almost like they're trying to stir it up and try and do something really rash in the heat of the moment. And that Klingon guy there, who's just above Azat Burr's shoulder, he kind of looked like a Klingon version of Barry Manilow to me. when he's on the Klingon bird of prey and he keeps banging his hand on the console. It's really weird. But there's some great actors and some great roles in this. And she's talking about the trial of Kirk. And there's a great bit, because this is all in Klingon at this point, isn't it? It's just subtitled. And then Plummer sort of like breaks that. And he's, your father died for what he wanted. He breaks the tension by speaking in English. But Plummer's got amazing gravitas in this role. What do you think, Z?
Absolutely. Plenty of presence. I love him. He's great. So menacing. Exactly how the Klingons should be.
He's got that sort of, how can I put it, a degree of uncertainty, and he's like, I don't know, he's got a kind of presence where you would automatically respect this guy, even though you don't know him.
Or fear him just by name
Yes.
alone.
Well, not just that. What about you, Gamer? How do you feel about Plummer's performance in this film?
I really like it. Thinking while you guys were talking about my earlier reference to 1930s Germany, you have a lot of great casting, and a lot, you get these films where I need to cast a German, so I find these actors that are outstanding in their roles, and both Plummer and David Warner as Klingons are just spot on. And I was just thinking, it kind of reminds me of the original television series and carrying into Next Generation, where you had the old actors that played Klingons back in the 60s and early 70s, who were then in the Next Generation, like Kolos, and there's a few others. I can't think of their names off the top of my head, were outstanding Klingons. And so that's everything about this movie. Like I say, we talk about the budget and the repurposed sets and everything, but they didn't cheat on the graphics, and they didn't cheat on the acting. I think the acting on both sides of this is great, and Chang as a villain is perfect. He's an epitome of a Klingon.
He is. I agree with that entirely. What about you, Esther?
Oh, I just remember, Baltar, John Colicos, and Michael Ansara from Buck Rogers being some of the first Klingons. Koloth was amazing, but I think Christopher Plummer, along with David Warner, is one of the finest actors to come out of Britain. And he does have this, even when he's playing a good guy, he has this quiet, roiling, possibly sinister affect that could come out at any time. And he really cuts loose on this, man. He is absolutely, really what you get here is you can tell how much fun he's having in the role. Without breaking the fourth wall, you just know he is loving every minute of this, man. With the Shakespeare and the English and switching back from Klingon, he is having a blast, and it's infectious. He is absolutely magnificent in this movie. And if they gave Oscars to sci-fi movies, I think both of those guys could have possibly been up for one.
Fantastically acted out. Just going back onto the actor who plays Noncluse is Daryl Henrique. And he's been in Star Trek before. He was in an episode of Deep Space Nine as a Dopterian waiter, whatever one of those is. He also appeared in Next Gen in The Last Outpost as Portal. You remember that one? That was the one with the Ferengi. And Riker's walking away with that guy in the prosthetics. That's him. So he's a Trek alumni as well. It wasn't the guy from Crocodile Dundee 2, although he sounds like him. So Kirk's on trial. It's a show trial. And this is a great bit. Aside from a bit of arthritis, I think pretty good. And you have a singular wit, Doctor.
Go back one, Trev. It's a very interesting effect here.
That one?
No, back. No, forward with Klingons. All of the Klingons.
Oh, that one.
Most of these are action figures.
I don't doubt it for a moment. That's a forced perspective shot, of course. And it's really good. I like that. There's a Jerry Anderson connection coming up shortly. Does anybody know the connection between this guy and Jerry Anderson?
I'm gonna guess puppets.
Well, there is that about it, yeah.
Well, whenever I hear Anderson, I'm gonna guess. What's the name of that actor?
Robert Easton.
Okay. No, I don't know. You always get me on these.
Right. Well, he's famous over here for his work with Jerry Anderson, the guy who did the puppet stuff, Super Mario Nation, also Space 1999. But he was a voice of a very prominent character in one of Jerry Anderson's works. And I'll give you a clue. G-Try, he's the voice of Phones from Stingray.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I would have never, as a Yankee, someone I would have never pulled that one out.
We have Stingray on in the early mornings here, but I wouldn't have picked up the voice either.
in Stingray, he was Lieutenant George Lee Phones Sheridan. I never knew that was his full name. I only knew him as Phones, but Try, yeah, that's Phones from Stingray. Wow. I mean, that is a proper geek factoid there.
Yeah, I just remembered another fact about this movie. I was talking with Manuel Grail in the chat. I started getting my pilot's license shortly after this movie, and they always teach you to have a movie or two in your flight bag because you never know when you're going to get stranded in an airport due to weather and how long you're going to be there. And my flight instructor gave me this movie on VHS. It was one of the 2 movies I kept in my flight bag, Star Trek 6 and Casablanca. Yep.
Good old Smilex. I like his sparkling gavel Death Star. And a previous comment there. Both have had Sylvia Anderson's hand inside them. There we go. Hi to Skyfire85 in the chat as well. But that you got to admit, that is the star comment so far. Good old Smilex.
I had to mute for a second, man. Dude, that was brutal.
If you're gonna go, you might as well go right up to the knuckle. Great bit here. Not only is Chang a general, he's also the prosecutor for the Klingon Empire. And there's some great scenes in this. Don't wait for the translation. Answer the question.
Yeah.
Plummer's
Does he get paid extra
lines.
for that?
I don't know.
Is that a separate job or part of his duties?
Hang on a minute. This is a bone of contention for me. Because Klingons, their ultimate desire for glory is to die in battle. The Klingons are very civilized in this Star Trek movie. When we get to the next gen, it's like they've gone back 300 years. They've gone all knuckle draggy, if you get me drift. So if by that metric of the next gen, this guy would have preferred to have died in some means of battle.
Yeah, he would have shamed his family. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
the Klingons evolved over time, though. The TOS Klingons and Romulans were almost inverted with their views about honor in combat. And, you know, these aren't Grandpa's Klingons, basically.
Yeah, but it's a kind of a contradiction because this guy is alive, but he can't function as a warrior effectively now.
Well, you're right, Trev. I would think when you go to the next generation, when Galron's, head of the Klingon Empire, it has reverted back. It's back to, like you say, 300 years.
Yeah, they have. They've got this like over evolved sense of honor, but like I said before, it's almost like they've gone back to being cavemen. They've become more primitive instead of more evolved. I mean, Mr. Worf ends up running a chip shop in the future. Today is a good day to fry. There, that's one for Smilex. But yeah, I like how Michael Dorn appears as his own granddad in this episode. This is General Worf. So, in the future, his son is Moog, son of Worf. And then Worf ends up being the son of Moog. Which is bizarre.
Kids like pikeys, don't they?
Worf, grandson of Worf. Same Worf? How'd you swing that one? Time travel. Gotcha.
And he looks like Worf too. But he's slightly more Cornish pasty in this. He's definitely had a gangster's staple to his forehead.
I got that reference, Cornish paste. Pasty, not pasty. Okay. Yeah, that's...
Yeah, Cornish pasty.
You can only experience it in Cornwall.
Do you know, I had my first Cornish pasty 10 years ago in Torquay. Yeah. Or was it Newquay? Torquay's in Devon, isn't it? I was in Newquay, I think, one or the other. The one that's in Cornwall.
I'm quite a fan of the Cornish pasty, proper Cornish pasty shops.
Yes.
The Cornish Pasty Company. They make some flipping awesome pasty.
Yeah, Cornish pasties are what strippers put on their boobs. But was this season 2 or 3 of TNG when this came out? I'm having trouble remembering.
This would have been 1990 when this was in production. So it would have been season 3 of Next Gen.
Okay.
Because it was 87 was season 1, 88 season 2. It might have been production of season 4 at a pinch. Without going into the minutiae of things, I'm sure somebody would tell us. Don't wait for the translation.
Yeah, there's Jay put an interesting fact in the chat about that very line. He said that came from the Cuban Missile Crisis.
All right, I am trying to find that. Aha, there we go. Emperor J. Goodwin, Wrench says that don't wait for the translation was something they stole from the Cuban Missile Crisis confrontation between the US and USSR at the UN.
And the translating where they're speaking Klingon, then switching to English. That's actually in another movie called Judgment at Nuremberg, which William Shatner is also in.
Oh, yeah, but why are the Russians speaking Klingon in Cuba?
These and other mysteries. I'm sure Smilex can make a joke about that. But Dawn, just going back there, is it really intense? He was more Worf than Worf in this, if that makes sense. Yet again, Michael Dorn translated very well onto the silver screen. And then when he was in the Next Gen movies, he wasn't quite as, I don't know, he'd like lost a bit of gravitas. You know, he'd gone back to being Worf and today is a good day to die. Prepare for ramming speed.
Well, season 1 Worf is pretty different than like season 3 Worf, man. If you go back and rewatch there
was a massive evolution of that character in such a short space of time in TV land. And I don't know whether that was down to Michael Dorn sticking to his guns and wanting more character development or more latitude to explore the character, or was it down to Rick Berman and Michael Piller actually giving him that scope and range to make Worf who he became? Does anybody know in the chat?
I do think Michael Dorn wanted more for his character than he got in the just like Denise Crosby, although he wasn't willing to leave, he stuck it out and they gave him more.
Ref says, I enjoy Michael Dorn's acting, especially his voice work, except for that I am Weasel.
I am Weasel.
That sucked. I are Monkey. Or was it I are Baboon? I can't remember.
I are Baboon, big star of cartoon.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't do a dance in the victory pants. That was
it,
wasn't it?
Better than Weasel.
That's it.
I are Baboon, big star of cartoon.
And Michael Dorn has pretty good comic chops. He was in this cute little movie called Amanda and the Alien. He was absolutely hilarious.
Do you know he's really good? He parodies himself in Ted 2. If you've seen the end of that at the Comic-Con, where he's dressed as like a really bad cosplay version of Mr. Worf. And he's like tripping people up and calling them names and stuff. Did anybody see that in Ted 2?
No, I didn't watch it.
Oh, the Comic-Con scene it's amazing. Just for the sheer level of geekiness that Dawn parodies himself in Star Trek.
It's coming back to me a little bit. You're right. Like Ted 1, I really enjoyed. Ted 2, but I have vague memories of it now that you're talking about it.
Do you know, I had a conversation with somebody over the festive period, and we all agreed that Seth MacFarlane stuff is tired. It's just crap gags, It's just the whole Family Guy now just relies on really just poorly conceived gags, which they must find hilarious, but nobody else does. The only thing I want to see from Seth MacFarlane now is season 4 of The Orville.
Yeah, but he had a good run. I mean, they all do. Look at The Simpsons. It hasn't been funny in 30 years.
I was going to say Family Guy's held up better than The Simpsons.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, in the grand scheme of things in Animation Town in Hollywood, Family Guy is the most despised. The Simpsons hate them. South Park hates them. Bob's Burgers hates them. King of the Hill hates Family Guy. I just don't know what it is. There's a lot of resentment for Seth MacFarlane and Family Guy. Anyway, moving on. We're going off on a tangent. This show trial is exactly that. But notice there's a bit of a stain on Kirk's back. Oh, dear. Oh my. I was waiting for you there, Z. I left the door wide open for you, and you
That's
missed
what
the
he
mark.
said.
Yeah. That, as we later find out, is a Viridian patch. And isn't it funny how Kirk's got a Viridian patch on his back? Kirk dies on Viridian 3. I wonder if that's why they use that in Generations. The mind boggles.
I think that's where they make the patches.
You never know. I'm wearing a Viridian patch. I'm trying to give up. So anyway, damn show trial. J-Troy is going down. It's going to Repente, baby. So yeah, they start replaying the evidence. And Chekhov is just, it is us. And then they come up with the idea. He says a Klingon ancestral mind ascertained that once you rule out everything that's not probable, what remains, even however improbable, must be the truth. So Spock's come up with Occam's razor, but like a Klingon version. Not a Klingon, a Vulcan version. Yeah.
Well, no, he's half human, so his mother could have been related to Sir Arthur Conan Doyle.
Well, only Nixon could go to China. That's twice now.
Oh, there's a lot of anachronisms in this. Yes.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But I'm just looking at some of the comments coming in the chat. I'll get round to you in a moment or two, chat. So they come up with a theory that there's a Klingon bird of prey that can fire while cloaked. Scotty's got some great dialogue in this bit. Tell them what? They'll think we're mad. We'll say anything to exonerate the captain and the doctor. Well, this is great, but a bird of prey. So anyway, meanwhile, in Repente, Blank Reg is the warden of Repente. Did you notice that, Z?
No, I did notice the big probe with the glowing light on sticking out the ground there. That was quite arousing.
I bet you've seen that from behind a time or two.
And then I see this back passage opening up, and I know we're in for a good time.
And then they chuck some guy out in just a pair of boxer shorts, and he doesn't last long, does he?
No, it is a bit cold, a bit nippy out there.
It certainly is.
Shoes on at the very least.
Yeah, it's a bit of a cause for concern. And there's a Targ, and I've never seen a Targ look like that before. Compare it to the one that was on Krug's bridge in Star Trek 3. And this one's like an old English sheepdog variant of a
Do you
Klingon
think that's
Targ.
what they're like on the Klingon homeworld? They're like dogs. So you've got Targs, which are like Chihuahua-sized.
Yeah, I thought that, kind of. So anyway, Kirk and McCoy end up going down into this prison. And there's all kinds of creatures looking at him, giving him the side eye. And it's kind of like a closed open prison, if there's such a thing. And then there's this guy here, and he's like, oh, if we're in your spot, we'll move along. And then we're introduced to Martia, played by Imam, who, if you didn't know, is Mrs. David Robert Jones. Of course, we knew this. Mrs. David Bowie. So anyway, in the meantime, they're trying to find a pair of gravity boots. So they come to a conclusion that Chekhov says, why don't they simply vaporize them? Notice how he got that line. So he'd say vaporize.
Yeah, I find this scene very stupid. Why have they got a stash of phasers in them?
Why do they have a galley?
Yeah, I mean, Z makes why wouldn't they be in a weapons locker? Because in other Star Treks, they're in central locations. They're not in the galley.
And what a waste of mashed potatoes.
Yeah, how do you think that chef felt, man? He's been working all day on that shit, and she just went and like, that is such an inconsiderate thing to do to your chefs.
Yeah, we know what you're having for tea tonight, Vulcan lady. You're having a big pot of wasted mash. So anyway, you can't fire an unauthorized phaser on a starship without setting an alarm off. And then I like this bit. He goes, Mr. Scott, there's a problem with the warp drive. There's nothing wrong with the bloody thing. I love that. That's a great line.
Hello, computer.
Could take 3 weeks, sir.
Yeah. So they come up with a plan of utter rhubarb to delay going back to space dock because they've been ordered back to be decommissioned. So it's almost like, this is an open and shut case. Kirk's the man. He obviously did it. He's going down. He's never coming out again. And unlike Mr. Sulu, who I'm sure came out a long time ago, oh my. Kirk's got himself in trouble again with this kind of looks like a blue Minbari, almost.
You know what would have made this scene better?
If his nuts weren't on his knee?
No.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the theme tune from Amok Time. That would have been fantastic. He kind of looks like Harvey Dent, doesn't he? With the skin tone and the one side that looks kind of burnt. In fact, he does look burnt because, look, all his horns are singed on one side.
No, it's what happens when a Na'vi fucks a Jem'Hadar. You get a blue Jem'Hadar.
Less of the sweary Marys, thank you very much.
I said forks.
That's all right, because AI doesn't like sweary words, so we're not going to go down that route. Anyway, Kirk drops on the floor and kicks this guy on his knee because he's like got a throbby bit hanging out of his knee. It's a gesticle on his knee. Kicks him there, and this guy starts glowing an odd colour, and he's down on the floor. And then Martia says, not everybody keeps the genitals in the same place. So Kirk's he's gone for gold. He's gone for the crown jewels.
Hey, baby, where do you keep yours?
Yeah, can you imagine that? Rubbing your knee together with somebody. And yeah, that's just rum. But like Martia says, not everybody's got the bits in the same place. It turns out that Martia is a Carmeloid. And her favourite song is Karma Chameleon by
She's
Culture
a
Club.
Cameloid.
A Carmeloid.
Cameloid.
Carmeloid, as in chameleon.
Oh.
Yeah, she can assume various forms and shapes. But she chose this form to seduce Captain Kirk. She's got a plan for getting out of Rura Pente. Meanwhile, oh my, it's Christian Slater. His mum was the casting director, Mary Jo Slater, on this flick.
Yes.
Mhm.
And interesting fact here, he walked off set in uniform, got in his car in uniform, drove off the lot in uniform, and nobody saw that suit, that costume ever again. Christian Slater still owns it. He was
The
such a Star Trek
trousers
nerd.
He's wearing are the same trousers that Kirk wore in Wrath of Khan.
Really?
And he got paid $750 for his cameo in this, which he framed and never cashed.
Yes, that is a true fact. And he got a free uniform out of it.
Check eBay. I think it's Slater Fun 1139. So.
There we go. Oh, Esther, you make an interesting point there. He does look like a Jem'Hadar. I do agree with you there to a point.
Yeah, except he's blue, which is where the Na'vi came from.
But Jem'Hadar can be women now, as we'll find out on January 15th.
You'll find out.
You'll find
I'm
out.
gonna
No, I
be.
won't.
You'll find
I'm
out.
gonna
No,
be
I won't.
comfortable at home, sipping tea and coffee and laughing.
Nope, I am not going to touch this show with a barge pole. I tried Discovery. No, not for me. I tried 3 episodes in of Strange New Worlds. That's as far as I got. I put the Orville on and never looked back.
Yeah, I didn't actually mind Slater in this role. Like, I think he was definitely a very promising young actor, and I mean, most of us would have paid $750 for the chance of a cameo,
free
or a
uniform.
walk-on. Yeah,
It's
well,
a fun
not
cameo.
that besides, but
His mother was the casting director. That is
yes,
taking advantage. Meanwhile,
Well-
in the transporter room, Mr. Chekhov has found a daub of Pepto-Bismol.
Yes.
Oh, there we go. And it turns out it is indeed Klingon blood. And who knew that Walter Koenig was actually wearing a wig at this point? It does look like a wig. It's got that off color, hasn't it?
You mentioned that a couple weeks ago. So, like when he was Bester on Babylon
Yeah,
5, that was a
It
wig
was
too.
bald. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I think James Doohan's hair looks real, but everybody else definitely kind of looks like they're in a wig.
Yeah, everybody said Kirk had got a wig, and I don't think he ever had. A lot of people say he's got implants, but nah, I don't buy that, to be fair. He's the man. Anyway, they find some magnetic boots.
Oh,
which is
who
good.
is
And-
they?
And it's crewman Dax. Notice how that name's come up a lot in Star Trek. And I don't think this is a symbiote of Dax, because this particular crewman Dax, I don't know what species he is, but he's definitely not Trill. And I like this, where Chekhov's like, I don't know if you know the Russian epic of, what was it? What did he say? Was it
Cinderella.
Anastasia? Cinderella, yeah. If the shoe fits, wear it. You doink, Chekhov.
This is
Awkward.
Quentin Tarantino's favorite scene.
Really?
Yeah.
Has he
There
got a
are
foot
tons.
fetish?
Yes.
There are
I
so
know,
many
I've-
funny lines in this movie.
I've seen those feet before in Star Trek The Motion Picture, the other end of the transporter accident.
No, Brie
He lived
Larson
long.
couldn't have been old enough when
Oh, God, no.
the motion picture came out. Those
don't
definitely
know-
are her feet.
I don't know who's got more grosser feet, Seth Brundle, Brie Larson, or crewman Dax. Any takers? Meanwhile, old Rurapente, I think we've been had. No, you weren't, Doctor. Martia is dressed as Ron Perlman in Beauty and the Beast. Because that's exactly who can you remember Ron Perlman as Vince in Beauty and the Beast with Sarah Connor?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yes,
Yep.
absolutely. I've got some of the Wendy Peeney comics. Absolutely amazing.
Really?
Mm.
Oh God, Linda Hamilton, that's it. I couldn't remember her name, but
Oh.
yeah, Sarah Connor. So this is dilithium mining. They've not learned anything from Praxis. Because apparently when you overmine dilithium,
Yeah.
you get a big explosion.
Oh, sure. They learned a lot. They learned not to have any Klingons there when they're doing it. That's why they use prisoners.
Oh, look, it's one of my nipple rings.
Nice. I thought it was a Blake 7 communicator. Kind of
Oh,
looks like one.
I thought it was a I'm
and
in
for Andrew
deference to your
Broadbent-
channel.
And
I'm
for
not gonna say
Andrew and for Andrew Broadbent's amusement, I'm down and safe, Andrew. There we go. They used to say that in the first 8 episodes of Blake 7, when they used to beam down, or teleport, as they called it. One of the crew members would always say, down and safe. There we go.
It's
So
a chastity ring for men.
There you go. So anyway, right, this is Marty. She slipped out of her shackles. And then there's like a bag of goodies, like extra layers and camping bits. And they get out of Rirapente. Nobody's ever broken out of Rirapente and lived. Because there's no digital frontier. There's an anti-beaming shield on half of the planet. So there we go. That's where the beaming shield ends. And the captain was wearing a Viridian patch. Mr. Scott, start your engines. And there's some great bits and bobs. I don't think Walter Koenig was utilized to his fullest advantage in this film. He's almost like his lines were tacked on to try and, give him that Davy Jones feel he had back in the original series. But he just looks like a sad little man.
Yeah, he looks exhausted, is what he looks like, which
He does.
might fit the role. They're
He
all
looked
tired.
he looked fresher in Generations, I thought.
And in Babylon 5,
Yeah, as Alfred
which was a
Bester.
few years after. Yeah.
I always have that discussion with people. Oh, yeah, I think Walter Koenig's great in Babylon 5. He wasn't in Babylon 5. He was Alfred Bester. He was a psychop. He was like the top psychop. And, I can argue with geeks all day long, and people don't believe me. And we get a nice shot of the Enterprise at warp speed, because they're trying to get to Rirapente before the captain and the doctor freeze. I love this bit.
That's on no, read.
I don't. I hate this. So does Michelle Nichols.
Yeah, you said that. Where she speaks Klingon badly.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make sense that she's the head of communications and she doesn't know Klingon. She's been around Klingons for 30 years. You would have think the ship's communications officer would know these things. And why are they using books? They've got computers in front of them.
Yeah, it makes her look like an idiot. They were going for comic relief at the expense of the competence of these characters.
And this harkens back to the earlier part with Bones going on the ship and not knowing Klingon physiology. We have books that translate their language, but we don't have books on their, anatomy.
It's like there's a lot of schoolboy errors in the writing that contradicts the level of experience these people would have had after 30 plus years in space. And like you rightly say, Gamer, she's like the #1 communications expert in Starfleet. What she doesn't know hasn't been discovered yet. And
you know what would have made a better scene, Trev?
Go on.
If she'd actually responded to them in pitch perfect Klingon, and at the end everybody's just looking at her and she just goes, "What?"
As a comedy element, this does not work.
No, it does not at all.
I like the whole spy bit, though. That harkens back to the Cold War era. You've got listening post Morske, or something like that. And you've got these two Klingons who were 3 sheets to the wind. The only reason they got through this in one piece without being rumbled is because those 2 Klingon officers were drunk. They were clearly drinking on duty. Klingon blood wine.
Yeah, I could accept that part, but that's still no reason to make Uhura look so incompetent.
Oh, I agree.
Even like on a show which will not be named, she already knows like 500 alien languages.
Right.
Well, the Kelvin timeline, it's established early on. She can understand. She's a bit like Hoshi.
Yeah,
she only needs a few bits of syntax, and then she can fathom out the rest of the language.
Exactly. I mean, they made up for it in the 2009 Star Trek movie where she's got xenolinguistics and knows all these different languages, which makes a lot more sense for the character. So, and Nichelle Nichols actually objected to this scene vehemently and didn't want to do it.
Good.
It was Nick Meyer who overruled her and wanted to keep it in because
it just makes her look a total doink.
It is.
Like she doesn't know
the
what
reasons
she's
that
doing.
we've said, it just doesn't make sense.
Oh,
yeah, 20th century humor.
30 plus years of experience in the field, doing that job day in, day out, and then they just make her look a total turnip just for a bit of a comedy bit what just didn't work. What do you think in the chat, right? Does this scene, or did that scene, work in this movie? Was the humor forced? And it came across it was just badly executed. And you got that lady in the background gesturing them to laugh. And she was a lower rank than the rest of them. Why would somebody wearing an ensign badge, be doing that with the commanders and lieutenant commanders? Because there's more chiefs than there are Indians on the Enterprise, if you think about it.
Yeah, Trev, you brought up Hoshi. I'm going to need a few minutes.
Yeah, there's a lot of people in there commenting. Skyfire85 comes up with a great comment there, and a lot of +1s for Empress Sato. Indeed. I think Hoshi was undervalued in Enterprise. So it turns out that Marty is a bit of a duplicitous character. She can assume shapes, and she turns into Kirk and headbutts McCoy, lays him out, which is a great bit. And then Kirk has a fight with himself, and I'm sure he's done that times many. And then he says, "I can't believe I kissed you." And then Marty says, "It must have been your lifelong ambition." That is the only comedy bit I felt worked because it's parodying Shatner in real life.
Definitely.
Yeah. See, this bit works right before a total flop. But a lot of the humor in the movie works. I'm still surprised at that bridge scene.
Well, I like this scene also because it harkens back to the original series. How many times have we seen evil Kirk? You know what I mean?
Well,
Where
only the once,
it's either,
really.
well, no, mirror, mirror, and then there's the transporter accident where he's split.
Yeah.
Yeah, the enemy within.
Yeah. It's a great scene because, like say, with the
Yeah.
one-liner there with, it's your lifelong dream. This
And we
this
had
humor
robot
lands.
Kirk. What little girls are made of. We had the robot Kirk.
Well, yeah. I like that scene where he's holding that polystyrene stalactite and it looks like a rum implement. I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about, Z3PO.
Stalagmites, stalactites. That's how I remember them.
Yeah, this one had Ann Summers on the side of it for some reason. Anyway, it's all a bit of a ruse because all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the Klingons appear. And then we get Morgan Shepherd. And if you don't know who he is, he has been in Next Gen. He's been in loads of stuff, sci-fi.
MacGyver.
And he was,
Yeah, those eyes. It's all in the eyes with this guy.
It is. And he played Blank Reg. Does anybody apart from me and Z know who Blank Reg is?
I do not.
Max Headroom, 20 minutes into the future.
Oh.
My favourite Mohawk.
He was the station manager for big time television. And he was given the Max Headroom unit. And he plugged him in and stuck him on air. And he started... they didn't notice until Network 24's ratings started going down to big time TV.
He was also the soul hunter in Babylon 5.
He was. He was indeed. Which also reminds me, when Martin Sheen was in Babylon 5. Remember that?
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Wait, Martin Sheen?
Yeah. He was in Babylon 5 as well.
Was he covered in makeup?
He was. He was in prosthetics. He looked very much similar to a soul hunter, but quite different. His son, Morgan Shepherd, his son has been in loads of sci-fi stuff too. X-Files. I forgot his name.
He was in River of Souls. He actually was the same race as a soul hunter.
There you go. I knew I was in the right ballpark there. So anyway, it's a great line here. He doesn't know who to shoot. And Marty, his character's like, don't shoot me. And Kirk says, not me, you idiot, him. And because Kirk called the warden of Rura Prente an idiot, he knew which one to shoot. But there was a great setup in all the trailers, though. They made it look like Kirk had actually got killed in this movie, which I thought was really good marketing.
They showed the disintegration.
Yeah. And everybody thought, oh my goodness, Kirk dies in this one. We've got to see it because Shatner's going to get it. And we weren't disappointed. I was very relieved they didn't kill him off in this because I knew Captain Kirk deserved better. And
he deserved better than what he got as well.
It was fun.
It's another time.
Oh my. And he said George Takei's line, didn't he? He went, oh my. They were Kirk's last words. I bet George was reeling. So anyway, the governor of, or the warden, should I say, of Rura Prente, he more or less starts giving the plot away. He starts telling Kirk and McCoy who wanted him out of the way. And he says, seeing as you're going to die anyway, his name is, and then, and you can hear Kirk in transport saying, why couldn't you waited just a damn minute? And then, as he steps off the transporter pad, and he's, Walter Koenig says to Kirk Chekhov, he says, do you want to go back? No, it's cold.
Yeah.
I just thought genuine comedy like that worked. And the translation scene with the old...
Deutsch words or no, read.
That did not work. Not one bit. Interesting bit. Scotty's looking at some repair bits. And there's a lot of red marks on there. Seems like there's quite a few problems with the nacelles as well. But these are all points of interest for repairs for Scotty. And he's got such an engineering ear. He can hear a rattling in the aircon system. And he pulls out a couple of engineering radiation suits. Meanwhile, the warden of Rura Prente is trying to cover his backside by telling Chang what's exactly gone off. And a lot of this action sequences on the Klingon bird of prey. Did you notice they kept it virtually all in Klingon? And I thought that was really good because you'd got that Cold War vibe really ramping up at this point. You knew something was going to kick off. Things were going to go down in a big way. And you've got all this tension just building up and building up and building up. And it's a great payoff. And I like that Klingon laptop behind Chang. It almost looks like a headrest.
It's a couple.
Yeah. Much kapla to Klingon DFS. Here we go. Here's the Barry Manilow Klingon where he's doing that. And he does all this tapping. And there's a great bit of dialogue. It's like, how can they know where the peace conference is? And Chang's like, are you willing to take that risk? So they formulate a plan to intercept the Enterprise. And I thought the level of detail and quality from ILM on the Klingon bird of prey this time round was outstanding. In fact, many of these shots were reused in Generations. For the D-type Klingon bird of prey.
Yeah.
The lighting is different than it was in the beginning of the movie. It's definitely more dramatic here toward the end of the film.
Well, the thing is, everything starts to take a darker tone in the film, and I think it just adds to those elements. Oh, not Z3PO. There we go. This is what I was trying to remember. Not Z3PO says in the chat, Blank Reg was also Dr. Ira Graves in the TNG episode Schizoid Man Season 2. And that's the one where he tries to overwrite data with his consciousness, if you remember. I think that's the one. Anyway, Scotty reveals that the spacesuits of the assassins belong to two crewmen, Burke and Samno. And just as he reveals it, it gets a bit formulaic at this point, I thought, because they go through a pressure door and Burke and Samno are dead. A phaser on stun at close range. How the assassin who killed these assassins did that simultaneously to two guys at close range is really, I don't know. I think it's slightly implausible. We'd have to give it to the Mythbusters, I think.
Yeah, it was another,
It was a stretch, wasn't it, to be fair?
Yes. Good way of characterizing it.
And then you've got this whole elaborate scheme to flush out the assassin of the assassins by doing a general call across the ship wide and saying court reporter to sick bay, statements to be taken from Yeoman's Burke and Samno. And somebody comes along and Spock turns the light on and it turns out it's Valeris. Kirk looks really derpy here, doesn't he?
Well, I got to tell you, this is some of the best acting I've ever seen Leonard Nimoy do here. Like,
the thing is, he wanted Valeris to take up his mantle and carry on his legacy aboard the Enterprise, whether it be this one or another variant. And Spock is clearly disappointed and angry at the same time. He questions logic. He was never the same after the fusion of his Catra back into his regenerated Genesis body.
Yeah, he does let his human side slip in this scene as well, succumbing to a little bit of anger, especially when he slaps away the phaser.
Oh, yeah, he gets a little snippy.
He does. That's Spock at his angriest, I would have said.
But he says, there's more to life than logic. Logic is just the beginning. To understand further than logic, you have to embrace the emotion. You have to explore that side of your psyche.
Kirk looks actually like he's composited in. He doesn't even look like he's part of the original. Like, he looks like almost a reflection. But remember the line that Spock tells her earlier in the film, logic is the beginning of wisdom, not the end.
Yeah.
And
I could just imagine Kirk going, I'm from Iowa.
Hey, baby, that's a nice phaser you got.
Yeah. And then you've got this bridge interrogation scene where Kirk's trying to get more information from Valeris. And there are several, I've seen 3 different cuts of this particular scene where Spock mind melds with Valeris.
That's one way of putting it. Or you could also use the, I have a problem with this scene. I understand the stakes, but basically
He goes
Spock
deep.
goes and takes something that isn't his, and it's very uncharacteristic.
Yeah, but the thing is, this is not just life and death of the Enterprise crew. This is the outcome for 2 spacefaring civilizations that have the capability of going to war and annihilating each other. There's more. This is where Kobayashi Maru comes into play again, because
the needs of
the many outweigh the needs of the one or the few. But there's several cuts of this. The one with the black and white scenes and the flashes to the characters being revealed, I didn't like. It wasn't the theatrical version that I saw at the pictures back in 1991. And I don't think, when they change things in the edit later down the line, I think you lose that original context.
Well, the problem is they showed a cut of this movie to Gene Roddenberry, and Nick and I had a big falling out with him over some of the scenes. In the director's cut, it's a lot more Starfleet is involved in the conspiracy as well. In fact, in one of the deleted scenes from earlier on, you've got Rene Auberjonois, who played Odo in Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, he plays General West in this, doesn't he?
He does, yeah, and they've come up with a plan for rescuing Kirk. But he's also in on the conspiracy. I believe it's he's actually the Klingon at
the end. Z, you must be a computer. You're the first person I've ever heard pronounce Rene Auberjonois.
It's Rene Auberjonois.
I'm so impressed.
Wasn't he in Benson, if I remember right?
Oh yes. Yeah, and the not Benson, it was okay, but man, Soap, the show that it spun off from, was hilarious.
I remember Soap. I used to love Soap when I was a kid.
Yeah, it was way. Wait, how old were you? That was not a kid show.
I used to stay up quite late. In fact, I got quite invested in the Bert being kidnapped by aliens and replaced. That whole storyline. And you got Billy Crystal in there as well.
Yeah.
Billy Crystal was there. And, the guy with the puppet, he was hilarious. Remember him? Jody, was it?
Yeah, my mom used to watch that show, so that's how I would end up seeing it.
Anyway, it's nice to have friends in other quadrants.
Did I see that Valeris's head started to bubble a bit?
I don't know. I think she got a bit veiny, didn't she? Spock was pressuring her quite hard, That, like Esther says, that was a violation right there. I mean, I know they tried to do a twist on that in Nemesis with Counselor Troy, but it wasn't as violating as what Spock did to Valeris. But like me and Esther was saying, there's so much at stake in these scenes. Spock is just going to go as far as he can go without turning her into a vegetable, essentially. Because he could quite easily lobotomize her.
Like, I think he had a good enough reason to do it, but he should have had some, not really remote. Like, I feel like he would have punished himself for doing that. Like, it's necessary, but still wrong, and so I have to resign or do. You know what I'm saying? Like, there would have been some self-flagellation there for the final decision.
Well, he does other things in this film too, where the whole it's going to take us weeks to fix the ship. A lie, an error. So he's playing a fine line throughout the film, and I think this is that fine line. I'm not going to lobotomize her, but I'm going to get the information we need because, like Trev said, the fate of two civilizations are at stake.
You're right. He's been playing it sketchy for the whole damn movie, man.
Yeah.
That's because of what happened to him in Star Trek 3. Yep. He's never been the same since he died.
And I like at this point how Sulu is brought back into the mix again. He was very prevalent at the beginning with the whole Praxis explosion scenes. But it's all about bringing the band back together for one last time. But Sulu's got his own command, and he says, "You realise you can be court-martialed for talking to us." "I'm sorry, Captain, your transmission's breaking up." And he says, "God bless you, Sulu." So it's determined that the peace conference is being held at Camp Kittimer, which is on the border of the Federation, Klingon, and Romulan neutral zones.
Sounds like a nice place. I'd really like to move there.
Especially if he goes at 1/4 impulse, it's going to take him freaking forever to get there, man.
An interesting fact, Camp Kittimer is where Worf was orphaned in Next Gen.
Yep.
How bizarre.
Yes, I believe one of the Klingons' farmers markets was attacked.
I don't know. It was Romulan related anyway.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, but those storylines were in simultaneous development in TNG and this movie, and it is kind of cool to, see how they are It's almost like a crossover, really.
Yeah, it's nice when Treks do their homework on each other and try and tie things in canonically. That's a mouthful.
Yeah,
interesting.
They realize who their audience is. It's a bunch of fucking anal Trekkies who aren't going to put up with mistakes.
Wrong word, sister.
Oh, sorry.
You need to govern your passions, Doctor. Interesting scene here where Kirk and Spock reflect on how they've been, how they've become a part of the issue of their society because they've reached a certain age now where they become so old and inflexible. Would that constitute a joke? And I love this scene of the Enterprise at warp. That's why I used it in the intro videos for Trek December. I apologize in advance for the sloppiness of the outro video on today's Trek December. Had a bit of an incident. Toasted graphics card. Can't use DaVinci Resolve at present because I don't have a graphics card now. It's gone a bit toasty. And I had to do an emergency rebuild of this machine yesterday morning. So I completely missed work. Because I was trying to get everything back on for today. So I had to do a video quick in another software platform. Nowhere near as good as DaVinci Resolve. So anyway, I do apologize in advance for the sloppiness. Yes, Emperor J. Goodwin says, rest in peace, Trev's GPU. It has gone.
It must be going around because I just had a motherboard die 2 days ago.
The weird thing is, I thought, because it's like the most that this system can handle without a PSU upgrade again, right? So I thought, right, I'll go and try and get another one of those cards because I only paid like pennies for that card. And now the same card, which is a 1050 Ti, right? I got that for like 25, 30 quid. Now they want £200-300 for that graphics card. It's an ancient graphics card. I like this scene. This is quite interesting. This is the conference center at Camp Kittimer. And a Klingon and a Federation officer just casually chatting to each other. That's peace right there. Oh my. And I would mention this last week when we were discussing this race being in, what is it? Is it Strange New Worlds? No, Starfleet Academy, a member of this species. And it always, it made me think, is this race a bit like mole men? Because this Federation guy is clearly having trouble seeing, and he acts quite blind. Whether this particular character is blind and he's not indicative of his species, but that species was the helmsman in Star Trek IV of the Saratoga, if you remember.
I remember.
Pepperidge Farm remembers.
Yeah, I just feel like he's about to scream at some ladies of the evening and point his gun at somebody.
I just imagined him like spitting his gum out and saying to somebody in the front row, "You can keep the gum." You know, like he did in RoboCop.
Yeah, it's weird. He's the UJ hole in RoboCop, but he's also the dad from that '70s show, man.
Yeah,
He's got range. I'll give him that.
And he was the CIA man in Rambo 3, was it? If I remember right.
Wait,
He was in one of the Rambo
Rambo
movies.
3? No.
I'm sure it is. He comes up to him when when Rambo's at that, like, building that monastery thing.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he's the CIA guy who tells him that Troutman's been captured in Afghanistan. Maybe, maybe not. I'll have to IMDb it.
I would love to see Troutman play the president of the Federation. That would be
really.
Something.
Richard Crenna.
Yeah, he's so, like, he's got that smarmy smugness about him. He's he's a perfect Troutman, though, even though he wasn't the first choice for that role.
Now, does anybody know what pips and squeaks are on a Monster Maroon? Anybody?
Are you speaking English?
Yes.
Well, a pip is usually a tiny marker or small plastic little dots or cylinders, right?
There you go. If you look on Admiral Cartwright's left arm, on the white band, they're the pips and squeaks. The round ones are 5 years service. The other ones are 10 years service. So judging by that, he's been in Starfleet a long time. 45 years, judging by his pips and squeaks.
And you are correct. Kurtwood Smith played Griggs in Rambo 3.
There you go. I knew he did. So anyway, there's the delegation of the peace talks. I'm not sure who the purple guys are. What race are they? And what have they got to do with it? You've got Vulcan and Klingon, Romulan and Vulcan. You've got the two blueberry-looking guys, and then you've got the CIC of Starfleet, who hasn't technically got a name. Just says Commander-in-Chief, but he's referred to as Bill, and he's sat next to Admiral Cartwright.
Yeah, the blueberry guys are from the planet Wonka 7, I think.
There we go. Maybe they're from the Oompa Loompa land. The schnozberries taste like schnozberries, Esther.
Schnozberryons.
Yeah. So Klingon bird of prey, cloaks, and they're flying around Camp Kittimer. I guess that's the name of the planet too, or Kittimer. So they're trying to scan for this thing. They can't figure it out. There's a great scene here where they transition from warp speed to impulse power, and the ship just goes phew, but it takes ages for it to get into an orbit. And just like that, you were saying, Z, space is big, unimaginably big.
It is.
42. If she's here, she's rigged for silent running. So it's nice to see Uhura getting some bits here.
Yeah, finally she can be competent again.
And look at the quality of that model, the A. She looks gorgeous in this. When she leaves Space Dock, she's got a sort of like a roundness to her. It's very feminine, and I like it.
This is why I hate the Excelsior's design. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I love Excelsior. Excelsior's a fine ship. But I don't think she has the lines of the Enterprise. The refit was good, but the A is the pinnacle of the Constitution class. Although this ship was originally the Yorktown, they rebadged her as a reward to Kirk for saving humanity from its own short-sightedness. So anyway, they get this really tense submarine battle. This is what it goes hunt for Red October. Simply Red standing by. Red October standing by.
Red West standing by.
If Swappers was here now. Hey, honey for everyone. Stop. Not so fast, y'all. I haven't done that for ages, so you've got to allow me that one. I haven't done the alien bit for a hell of a long time. Not Z3PO says, she's well lofted. What's well lofted? Can anybody describe that without being rude or naughty or say rum words?
She has not succumbed to the terrors of gravity just yet.
Atom says, simply Red standing by. I love that.
Yeah, buoyancy. She's buoyant.
Nice. She's got a level of buoyancy to her.
Yes.
I like this. Because Chang is just so relaxed and chill. He's just about to give the Enterprise a good whooping. And he's like, keeps just gesturing to this guy who keeps pressing the button there. And this is the first salvo on the Enterprise from a cloaked Klingon bird of prey. And he says, back up, 1/4 impulse power. But the Enterprise takes a damn good beating. Speaking of which, meanwhile, on the Excelsior, oh my, you said take a beating. Sulu's like, come on. And the helmsman says, she'll fly apart. Well, fly her apart then. That's a great bit of dialogue. Meanwhile, René Auberjonois, which is a great sounding name. I'm guessing he's of the Cajun persuasion. And the peace talks are going on. As it Burr there's taken the place of her father. She's now the chancellor of the Klingon Empire. Kurtwood Smith's there thinking, I wonder if she can fly, Bobby. Those Klingons look really sketchy. Is it me, or do they look sketchy? They do, don't they?
They don't seem like they're part of a diplomatic contingent,
No, they look like they should be on some kind of list for doing rum things.
Yes, they look like
a Rumgans list.
They look like they're looking for where the cockfighting area is.
Yeah,
like, we came here to.
I don't know. I think that's what happens when you get your extras off Craigslist. So anyway, some great action shots here. The Enterprise is proper taking a whooping, and when this I don't know where this hits exactly, but there's a lot of sparks on the bridge. When this one hits, I mean, it just goes crazy. There's some great pyrotechnics work. Even Uhura there's convincing. I think it actually just jump scares her so bad.
They knew exactly where to hit us, Captain.
Oh, yeah. Ooh, who knew where to hit us? So the Enterprise, the shields are getting a bit weak at this point. There's a lot of scoring on the opposite side of the shielding against the actual hull. I thought the Enterprise looked kind of washed out in this scene here. But I was kind of thinking maybe that's a bit of intentional distortion because they're cloaked, kind of makes things look a bit more exaggerated than they actually are.
That's kind of how I was looking at it. Is the view from their ship, So
Yeah.
I think it's correct that it would be distorted because you have a ship that's cloaked and can fire. So we don't get many scenes from either the Klingons or the Romulans when they're cloaked looking back in a battle scene like that. Like in this movie, this is a really outstanding view.
What
It's
would
true.
a field of vision look like through a neutron radiation field? Because that's what we're dealing with here.
Yeah, I also have it's never been adequately explained. I understand why a cloaked ship can't fire phasers because they don't the power requirements.
Yeah,
But
it's
the
energy draw.
torpedo, you're just zipping it out. I don't see why you can't fire photon torpedoes while you're cloaked.
I would assume, in the grand scheme of things, it's all to do with the conservation of energy, the sheer energy expenditure of something leaving a ship. We don't know how much neutron radiation's needed to actually distort light around a vehicle,
And it wouldn't be
We haven't got
mechanical.
those
It would
metrics.
be an energy-based weapon still. Even if it is a canister of sorts being fired out, like when Spock dies and they fire him out, it's still an electronic component. So it is using energy. And like Trev's saying, the energy requirements to stay cloaked are probably enormous. And the reason why the neutron radiation is detected by the Enterprise before the whole incident with Gorkon's ship.
Interesting thing here, gas. Kirk, on them beams from Star Trek V, gas, Captain. Under impulse power, she expends gas, ionized gas, plasma. So
Don't we all?
Yeah. So
But
meanwhile,
what
at
about
Camp
all that
Kidderma,
equipment we have got on board for cataloguing gaseous anomalies? No, Uhura, you stupid woman. That was the Excelsior that had all that gear on board.
yeah, there's a lot of gaseous anomalies all of a sudden. Meanwhile, on Camp Kittimer, somebody's assembling a rifle. Do you know, that guy looks like a shapeshifter. I'm sure I've seen that face before. Kind of Odo-ish. If you know, you know. Don't judge. You would have said the same thing too. So he's got a good view of the Federation president there. President Bodica. There we go. Let me just go back one. What do you reckon, President Bodica?
President Bodica, you are under arrest.
I want to say the line, but I'm trying not to use bad
No.
words. Yes, I know.
We can't do that anymore because of our friend Al. AI. Great shot. I love how this torpedo just bounces off the saucer section. Just brilliant. Yes, Emperor J. Goodwin. I was dying to say that too. But obviously I can't. Yeah, a lot of speculation as to why the point of view is different for the Klingons. I suspect it's got to be something to do with, viewing the outside world through an energy field. Bad news for the Enterprise. Forward shields are starting to lose their power. And I love this. All right, shields up. Now we've given them something else to shoot at. Oh, my. I wasn't expecting that. Oh, that is one fine ship. I find the Enterprise very alluring. Looking at her there, I know it's a Constitution and it's like an actual production version of a refit. But in that scene there, she's got that old Constitution class vibe. I don't know if anybody else is feeling that. Or is it just me being warm and fuzzy?
No, it is.
The refit
I'd love to have this
shares
hanging from my ceiling. A scale model. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. The refit shares enough DNA with the original. I love them both, and I have many representations of them both. But if I'm really hard pressed, I have to say I'll go with the A. But they're both iconic, and they both carry the same, I think, emotional weight for me. So
I like that comment you've said in the chat, Mister. I can't put it up on screen though.
Well, he said. Itches leave and then snitches leave, and then I wanted to rhyme.
Moving swiftly on, Eraserhead says in the chat, Trek ships are gorgeous. And then Emperor J. Goodwin, Wrench, says, it's better than that guppy-looking Tupperware ship Excelsior. Ooh.
Yay, Jay. Yep,
Smilex makes a good point here. I like the Reliant too. Yes, I like a Miranda-class vessel. Very nice. Ben Sisko was first officer on one. Unfortunately, it didn't end well for him. The game's afoot. And I like how he gestures towards Excelsior. The weird thing is, he's obviously looking down on the Enterprise and Excelsior. But when they fire and Excelsior gets hit, she gets hit from underneath. Even Chekhov's like, hang on a minute, that graphic doesn't match where they've just been hit.
He's looking down at a control console.
Yeah, but it's that scan. Let me just go back. You can clearly see the shadows of the bridge, right, on both ships. So that's looking down.
It's
and
just
then when
a
the shot's
bird's eye
fired,
view, though. It's just like their schematic isn't based on their own position. It's just an orthographic projection.
Nah,
so
that's BS. That's a production error right there.
But I will say it's interesting that the Klingons seem to use diagonals, right? They just don't go vertical, horizontal. They don't have ordinals.
Two-dimensional thinking. That's what that is.
Well, it's a lot harder in video games to dodge a diagonal shot than one that's straight vertical or horizontal. So you got to figure maybe that's their secret of combat. They're used to the slants.
The pyrotechnics in a lot of these scenes are fantastic, so much so that young lady there is experiencing a rather ridiculous amount of gusset tightness, and it looks genuine on her face too.
Yeah, they had her eat a lot of Taco Bell before the scene.
That's probably it. Anyway, shields finally failed and straight through the saucer section, and they blow up an entire room. And I didn't notice that before. Next to Sarek on the wall is a picture of Abraham Lincoln. Yep. How bizarre.
Yeah, so it always hurts when
it's all the people that Kirk's met.
Probably, yeah. Or maybe all the people that Kirk's really upset at some way or another. But Dr. McCoy and Spock are performing an operation on a torpedo with some of that equipment they're carrying on board for gaseous anomalies, which seems to be a recurring theme in Starfleet. You know, instead of out there protecting the borders, they're out there measuring how much carbon monoxide is coming out of space trumps. Notice the crappy computer cable there. That looks like an RS-232 cable. You remember how you used to connect things to a backplane from your motherboard back in the old days? Your DB9 connector. It looks like one of those cables.
It's actually a SCSI cable because it's smaller than a serial, but larger than a parallel.
That's too small to be a SCSI cable.
That's a Gen 2 SCSI, which is about half the width of the original ones.
I say original SCSI was 50 pin. That looks way too small.
Yeah, but this is 25 pins wide and 2 pins deep. I'm looking at one right now.
This is 23rd century SCSI, which is better than SATA. At this point, SATA's at SATA 9 now. Anyway, moving swiftly on. Where's that damn torpedo? She's ready, Jim. Lock and load. And we get a great scene in the music. Da-da-da-da-da-da. It builds up and you get that pause. And then he goes, fire.
I expected a Buck Rogers starship to fly out of that thing.
Oh, God, no.
This is my favorite Star Trek scene here when he yells the fire. I mean, it's one of the great, meme type GIFs on X, too, with Kirk yelling fire.
Oh, Emperor J. Goodwin concurs with me there. What? SCSI is 50 pin and 68 pin and are way wider than that cable. Oh, Atom Gray says,
Hello, computer.
There we go. I've come preloaded tonight.
Yeah,
great scene.
It's the fast, narrow SCSI 2 cable, 90 ohms ribbon. It is much more narrow because it's a 3-row pin.
Mm.
Well, Bones gets a great line right before this too, when they're loaded with Chang, quoting Shakespeare, and it's like, I pay real money for him to shut up.
Shut up. Yeah, that's really good.
Great bit. Tension finally released. When the music stops, buttons pressed, torpedoes launched. And I missed the opportunity. I didn't do the, I can see you, Kirk. Can you see me? Oh, do be honest now. One warrior to another, as it was meant to be. No peace in our time. Once more to the breach, dear friends. To be or not to be. Or takpe takpa. There we go, in the original Klingon. Numbers up for Chang. Says to be or not to be. And boom, there it is. And I love this. Before it fully rematerializes, the whole ship, sort of like, because of the explosion, it goes gold for a split second. Only a tiny bit. I got Brian to specifically, get that shot. Almost got it, where the entire ship goes from like a green to gold. And I thought that was a really good effect. Because if you look at all that stuff coming off there, it just, I don't know, it's like a really good smoky, watery effect. Yet again, another one of those salt tanks at ILM, I bet. But it's a great shot. All right, target that explosion and fire. Oh my, I'm going to shoot my load. So Excelsior's giving it full bore. Enterprise giving it full bore. Takes a how many shots did you think it took to blow up this Klingon bird of prey? And it's a prototype.
4 or 5?
How many photon shots totally? I'll give everybody a good 15 seconds if you want to have a guess in the chat. Whoever gets it right.
7.
Oh, trust you.
Well, I just guessed.
It was 7.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, a total of 7 torpedoes. There we go. Don't you ever utterance 6-7 on this show again. It's bad news for the Klingon bird of prey. This shot was reused in Generations.
Yes, that's Lursa and Bettel's Klingon bird of prey.
It is indeed. A Type D Klingon bird of prey. So anyway, back at the Camp Kittimer, there's a rather dodgy-looking bloke in a mask. And it's not Halloween. And he's going to take a shot at the Federation president. Federation President Boudica, Clarence Boudica, from the planet Can You Fly, Bobby? So anyway, Enterprise crew beams down. Scotty gets dispatched to, like Kirk knows. They must have had a full confession from Valeris to know what they knew. You know, if you know, you know. So they cause a bit of a disruption. And Kirk does this amazing dive. This is not as cool as the one he did in Star Trek 3 when he lunged at Krug.
Mm.
You know, when he dives off that cliff on the Genesis planet. Because I thought that was like T.J. Hooker level action right there. But
Yeah.
this was a bit tired for Kirk. So anyway, this president was looking around. He couldn't see anything. Like I said, my assumption is he's blind, perhaps not indicative of his species. But that laser blast, Kirk's not even like got him there, and the guy's missed anyway. And he goes, Kirk, Enterprise. So further confirms he doesn't know who he is. So Chekhov, he's got Spock's brother-in-law. Oh, sorry, John Shook, as the Klingon ambassador. He's got him down to rights. Everybody's protecting Azit Burr. And this shooter's just going to start taking pot shots. Non-clues, McCoy's got him. His number's up. Arrest those men.
Arrest yourself.
Arrest yourself. We've got a full confession. So they're just about to shoot her. Scotty comes in. I love it. He comes in, he kicks the door straight off the hinges. Scotty kicks ass. It's like Scotty's going to go in there and chew somebody up. You never know. He shoots this guy. He goes flying out the window. Just at that moment, I love this bit. This girl here and this other guy ain't got a clue. But obviously, it's a Sulu scene, so he's going to steal it. And he, all right, Cartwright, stop right there. Catches Cartwright. And as it Burr's like totally confused, what's this about? Kirk gives a great monologue here, and it's about the future. You know? He says it's the undiscovered country. We don't know what's going to happen next.
That's
Everything's
the name
open
of
to
the movie.
interpretation. It's what?
That's the name of the
Name of the
movie.
Indeed, it's a line from Shakespeare. So he's basically got over his prejudice, you know? And when he's done delivering his lines and explaining about people of his generation are scared because they don't know what's coming next. Everything's going to change. Azibur says, you've restored my father's faith. Kirk says, you've restored my son's. Standing ovation from everybody. And I like this. All the TOS crew gather up on that stage. And this is more about the supporting cast giving these guys the send-off they deserve. You know? And it's nice that, you know, Sulu does like a parting of the ways. It's like, you know, from our crew to yours, it's good to see you in action one more time, Captain Kirk. So he's the only member of the original crew not on board. Oh, along with Grace Lee Whitney as Rand, or Yeoman Randy, as they used to call her, on set. You know, Kirk, although he looks kind of smug there, he's kind of pleased at what he's done. He's got over his own prejudices to pave the way for the future. McCoy says here, my God, that's a big ship. Not so big as her captain. An Excelsior is a massive ship compared to the Enterprise. It's
Very
a shame.
bottom heavy.
I know a
Yeah.
lot of people don't like the Excelsior class, but they really did a number on that model for generations. They added 2 extra impulse engines and flared out the front of the secondary hull around the deflector area. Z, I like your statement there. She's got junk in a trunk, Captain.
Yeah, it's a bit bottom heavy.
Oh, Franco says she's got a rum bum.
That's what I was doing, but politely.
Yeah, well, there we go. So anyway, they get the order to return to space dock to be decommissioned. And Spock's like, he just showing that how human he's become during his bridge experience and life aboard the Enterprise, spending 30 plus years with these people day in, day out. And he says, if I were human, I would tell them to go to hell, which gives everybody a good laugh. And then it's second star to the right and on till morning. And if you notice there, I love this shot, but there's a chair that's empty, you know? And that's a nod to Sulu, because that's where he would have been. There's the bulk or the majority of the TOS crew there. Uhura, Scotty, Chekhov, Dr. McCoy, Spock, and Kirk. And I like that. And then, you know, it's off into the sunset, like any good finale in any great movie. And then you get all the main cast signing the signatures.
I like that ending. It was a sign off from all of them. It was a shame they had to bring them crawling back for generations.
But only 3 of them, though. There's only Walter Koenig and James Doohan and obviously Shatner. But that was bad what they did to Shatner. That wasn't the way Kirk should have died. You know? The guy was a legend. And some of the continuity errors. When they brought back James Doohan in, was it called Relics?
Yeah,
with
the Dyson Sphere. Yep.
He'd been in a transporter cycle loop for 75 years, along with crewman Matt. What was his name? Matt Franklin. He's a good lad. Obviously, his signal had degraded. But when he says, when he gets reconstituted in the matter stream, he says, Enterprise, I bet Jim Kirk hauled her out mothballs by himself. Continuity error right there.
Yeah, because he would have known that he died on the Enterprise B.
Oh, yes.
So I pointed it out to my wife at the time. We were dating, and she's like, nerd alert. I'm just like, you know, it's like, why do you know that? I'm like, well, because.
Yeah, but of course you are a nerd. We're all nerds here.
That's the least of that movie's problems, even.
Yeah.
Here we go. Manuel Greel says, there should never have been any crossover between the original series and the next gen, as much as I like the Scotty episode with the Dyson Sphere. A lot of people love that episode, especially the interactions between Scotty and Mr. Data. You know, I think that's a good line where he sniffs that thing and he goes, "It's green." So Scotty just pinches some random booze, goes to the holodeck. No bloody A, no bloody B, no bloody C, and no bloody D. So he goes on to the original Constitution bridge, and he's drinking Aldebaran whiskey. Who do you think gave it to Guinan? She told me you gave her one. Picard, he's pretty much done everybody on that ship. Beverly. Oh, he crushed the Doctor, certainly. Anyway, thank you to everybody in the chat. Thank you, panel, for joining me tonight. I want to say a massive thank you to everybody who's helped the show. This is the last show, maybe, of 2025. I might do an FNS this Friday. Anybody up for that?
Yeah, I told you I would be.
So I think this coming Friday, I will do an FNS, but this is officially the last show of 2025. It's been an incredible year so far. On January 7th marks our first year as a channel producing content. And I want to thank everybody who's helped support the channel in 2025. We're at 1.5K now.
Ooh.
That, I think, is incredible.
Yeah.
It's not long since we hit 1K. And now we're fast on the way to 2K, which I think's amazing. Thank you so much. If you want to show your support, there are other ways of doing that. Channel memberships are back on YouTube. Everybody said we don't want channel memberships. Now they want them back, but nobody's signing up for them. Patreon's available too. Paul Dickinson, thank you for your support. You've been a massive, massive support on the channel, as has producer Brian, who's wrenched for £10, which is 5 pot knackers. It says, working with Trev has been bags of fun on a brilliant first year for the channel. Thanks to everyone in the chat and every panelist for helping make it special. May you all have a terrific 2026. Thank you, Brian. Without you, mate, there would be no channel. As everybody, if anybody doesn't know already, Brian is the producer on the shows, and he works very hard behind the scenes and does a fantastic job.
Yeah.
Thank you. So tonight, thank you to Brian. Also, thank you to Melv. That's £15. That's enough pot knackers for everybody. I want to thank everybody in the chat. Like and subscribe if you're enjoying the live streams. Because the more likes and the more subs we get, the more and more people will get to discover the channel and see what we've done over the past year. And maybe everybody's hard work who's been involved with the channel will start getting a bit of appreciation, because I think we've done fantastic work over the year. And I want to thank all of you in the chat. You're a part of the team, you know, and I want to thank our regular guests. Like you guys in the chat. Thank you, Esther. Thank you, Z. Z, you've been there since day one.
What in the butt?
Yeah. Gamer, you were one of our early adopters as well.
Yep.
And Esther, you sort of came in at the last third of this year, and you've been a massive contributor to the channel. So I want to say thank you all to all of you. And I want to wish everybody who watches the show and the chat and the panelists a happy new year. And I hope 2026 is fantastically prosperous for us all. Thank you for supporting the channel. Thanks, guys. And if you've had enough Trek, well, I've got some bad news for you. Because the first show of 2026 is a bit of a decompression from Trek December. We're going to have one more for 2026. One more Trek. Buckle up for time travel shenanigans with the Next Gen crew, the Borg, and Farmer Hoggett. Is this timeline malleable? I don't care. It's a ton of fun. Like, subscribe, and tune in next Tuesday at 9 p.m. UK, 4 p.m. Eastern.